Hello everyone, I've been a painting contractor for 25 years and the goal of this channel is to help make painting at home simple. For all of you do-it-yourselfers out there looking for professional results and wanting to save some money. So thanks for watching and please like and subscribe. We want to help as many people as we can. Thanks again. Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in. Today we're coming at you with some kitchen cabinets and how to paint them from start to finish, step by step. I've been painting for 25 years. We've certainly done a lot of kitchens, a lot of cabinets that look like this. It's a great idea if you can and you have the ability to on your own. Take your old stained cabinets in your kitchen, update them, go to a painted look. It's a really great thing to be able to do. I want to talk about this product right here. It's by Crud Cutter and it's a gloss off. It's a deglosser. What that does is the purpose of a product like this is to wipe it on and scrub into a cabinet. As you can see the sheen, it's shiny. We've got a sealer applied over the stain. And what we have to do is we have to get into this top coat. We want the primer that we put on here to be able to bond to the surface in order to properly paint this cabinet and paint our kitchen. So we're gonna show you a bunch of steps that we take to get to the final product. And I want to show you different ways you can do it, and we'll kind of test this out and we'll see and show you how the best approach to take is to do this. I've been painting for 25 years. We've certainly come across a lot of situations where we've had to troubleshoot, and I'm going to kind of go over a lot of that today. So we're going to get into this. We've got a bucket here. We've poured the solution straight out of the bottle. You do not have to mix it or do anything with it. And what we like to do is we take a pad like this that's got a little bit of a scuff on it. We can take a rag as well. And we're just gonna kind of get the sponge, get it worked up. We're gonna put it onto this cabinet and we're gonna work all through the cabinet. We're gonna work around like this, okay? And we just wanna get this deglosser really on there. And we want to work it in. We want to work it in. And so we're going to wipe off all the excess with a rag. But we really need this product to do the first step for us. For years, our approach used to be to take sandpaper only and completely sand down the cabinets. But we're going to walk you through what we need to do and how we still use sandpaper. Okay, so you can see I'm just getting all of this, coated. And I really, really want to take my time in a circular motion to really work on the gloss. And I'm going to show you why. Okay, so we've put that on there. I've got a damp rag right here with some of the solution on it. I'm going to wipe off the excess and we're going to let this dry. Okay, what's nice about this deglosser is if you have kitchen cabinets, the very first thing you need to do is you need to clean them. So we have a product here. Sometimes we'll clean with this. This is an all-in-one. So we can use this Crud Cutter and it'll work at cleaning the cabinets. Sometimes there's smoke. Sometimes there's oils and grime, grease, and it'll clean the cabinet and it will degloss the cabinet. So we're doing a test here today and I'm going to show you a couple examples. Okay. All right, now what we want to do is we want to let this sit and dry for about 10 minutes. We'll let it dry a little bit longer before we take it and go into the next step. And what you have to remember about a product like this is it's meant to allow the surface to be primed. And it's supposed to help the primer bond to the wood so we don't have peeling and chipping. So we're going to kind of show you if this is true or not and how we do things. So we'll check back in a minute. Okay, here we are. We're checking back. Now, we have completely let this cabinet surface dry. we deglossed it, we worked the product in, and I want to show you an example. So come on over here and see this. This is a cabinet that we deglossed, and here's the other one that has not been deglossed yet. I want you to notice the difference in the sheen. This cabinet is definitely shinier, but I want you to notice that this cabinet still has a level of sheen on it, okay? It's still got some sheen on it. So with that being said, what we're gonna do is, this is where it gets fun. We're gonna show you a couple of different examples, and we're gonna see and show you which one ends up being the best way to do it. Now what happens is we cut into the surface. We softened the finish. That's what the degosser did. So the next thing we want to do is we want to put a bonding primer onto the surface. That's going to be our base coat. This product right here is called Sticks. Okay, it's a water-based, it's a latex acrylic primer, and we're going to put it on the cabinet. We're not going to do any sanding. We are just going to put it right onto this cabinet. And we're going to put a piece of tape, and we're going to do just this part of the cabinet without sanding. And then down on this side of the cabinet right here, we're going to take our 220 grit sandpaper, and we're going to lightly sand this whole section right here. And we're going to vacuum it off. And on this section of the cabinet, we're going to put an oil-based primer that's going to bond. It's called Cover Stain. Now the reason we're going to do two different examples is because when we cut into this type of finish, well, I don't care if your cabinets are oak or maple or pine or hickory, we have stain and sealer here, and it has a tendency to want to bleed through a painted surface. So when we go to paint our cabinets, we don't want to end up with cabinets that are bleeding through either right away or over time. Now in fact, almost all bonding latex water-based primers have problems attacking stains. If we use this product over the deglosser, or if we use this product over the sanded part, because it's water-based, it might bond, but the stains over time could bleed through the primer and bleed through the finish. So I'm going to walk you through a couple examples from start to finish. You're going to see how this all unfolds, okay? So what we want to get to is where the end of the project, you have an example with a water-based. We're going to check the bond. We're going to let this product sit on here for 3 days and cure and get to its maximum hardness. And then on this side, we're going to let this product dry, and we're going to let this dry for 4 days and get to its maximum hardness. We're going to check the bond. And then this product right here, remember, is going to greatly reduce, it's going to kill any stains that could come through. So we're going to get started on this half right here. And I'm going to show you what I use when we're using a brush. Now, if you have cabinets, an entire kitchen, you're going to follow these steps from start to finish on the cabinet doors, the drawer faces, and the built-in units that are in your kitchen. What you want to do, if you're not spraying your cabinets, and you're working on this by yourself and you're going to get out a brush and a roller, we're walking you through that example. We spray the cabinets we do in homes, but we have also used brush and roller techniques. So when we use a brush, we use this Purdy brush. It's a medium stiff brush, but I want you to see the difference in the brushes. This is a harder, more stiff bristle. It's going to be leaving you lines and probably leave you the product isn't going to lay down as flat. This is really soft, this black white tip one. And when we brush our product on, when we're at the finish stage, it really does a nice job of laying out, and it'll lay down. And so we'll get to that in a minute, but those are the two examples. All right, so for this particular purpose right here, I'm going to take this tape and mark off our section that we're going to work on. Okay, now this deglosser is dry, but I like to take a dry rag and just go over one more time, getting off any film that might remain, okay? All right, now, if we were using and doing a whole cabinet, there's different roller setups that you can use and different liners, okay? And what we're going to do is we use a 4-inch roller cover. Now you're going to see in the store that you can buy these high density foam rollers. I don't like them. They don't leave a nice even finish, so I don't use them. We use instead a roller cover that's a 1/4 inch roller cover, and it's a mohair blend, and it's very nice. It's a small nap roller. It lays down real nice, but a lot of the times we will back brush the finish and let the brush lines lay down. So we'll get to that. All right, so here's what we're going to do for the sake of example. You know, we're not going to be doing anything with this roller today because we're using it for finish coating. What we are going to do though is we're going to get our primer out. And remember, this section of the cabinet, it's only been deglossed. We are not going to sand it, okay? All right, we're just going to get this primer on here. And we're going to show you what happens. Okay, I like to do sections at a time. Really going to get a good coat on there and lay off the brush. I like to try to lay off each section nice and smooth wherever the lines are. So you can see we're just doing this for example purposes, but I like to come out and smooth it out and then come back that way. Okay. And we're going to test this out, and you're going to see what process we use. And I'm going to show you at the very end of this whole video which approach I think is best. See, I really take the time to spread out and even out the primer. I want the brush to be nice and thin brush lines. I don't want heavy brush strokes. This is a water-based primer, so the smell is not bad. Okay. All right. So here we are. Here's our example. I'll lay this off nice and smooth. And there you go. That's our first example. We're going to check back in for the next side. Okay, so here we are again. Next step of the process. I'm taking you through examples so you can see how you should do things on your end. Now we're going to take this half of the cabinet and we're going to sand it with 220 grit sandpaper. And we're going to go light. We're not going to go too hard. You can see that the deglosser has already done a lot of the work for us. Okay? I always sand with the grain. So whatever direction the grain is going is the direction you want to sand. I can twist my sandpaper like that and get into the end here. All right? And I'm going to do this real light to every section on this part of the cabinet. Okay? I just want to cut into this a little bit further. We're taking it to the next step as opposed to just letting the deglosser do its work. All right? So it's more time consuming and it's a lot of work to paint your cabinets because there's different ways to do it. Okay? And some of these examples take a little bit more time and effort. But at the end of the day, when you do your cabinets, do you want the paint to peel off? Do you want the paint to fail? So that's what we're trying to show you how to do. Okay? Okay, you can tell I didn't get out hand sanders and all that stuff. I'm just taking a piece of 220 and I'm lightly going over it all. Okay, and I'm going to take the vacuum and vacuum up all the dust. Okay, now again, as I had said before, this part is just the deglosser, and it's just a bonding water-based primer. It's not going to help you with any of the stains that are going to come through on this cabinet. You're going to get stains that are going to bleed through over time. So because of that, we go the extra step. We use the deglosser, then we do a light sand and vacuum, and then we prime with this product. Now this is oil-based, so we have to use an oil-based brush. We use this Purdy brush. It's a white bristle and it's soft, and I'm using a 2-inch. Okay, it's got the white bristle here. So we use this right here, and what happens is we can also use a roller cover if we want to cover larger spaces, but for the purpose of this example, we're just going to brush this out because we want to test the bonding of these primers in these examples, and we want to make sure the stain block is there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead right now. You want to make sure you're working in a ventilated area. Have a window open or a fan somewhere on the other side of the room, circulating air. So we'll just go ahead and we'll put the primer on. And what this is going to do is it's going to bond, but we're going to let this primer dry and cure for 4 days. And I like to work back, okay, in a section and lay it off. I don't want to just leave it all scattered. I want to lay off my brush lines nice and neat. There. I'll come back this way. I'll lay that off, and I'll lay that off. Okay, and I'll do the middle. And like I said, if we were doing this whole cabinet face, I would be cutting in the middles and rolling these middles with a roller. Okay, and then I come back and I just make sure that's like that. Okay, and I'll work the outside. I like to lay it off. Okay, and again, this is an oil product. The fumes can get a little intense. We use a respirator or a mask, and sometimes we have air movement, but we also have to get fresh air once in a while because of the fumes. But this is the right way to do things, and that's what we're showing you examples for. Okay, so we've laid it off. Now the next step is going to be to let this dry. We're going to let both sides of this cabinet dry. We're going to do that for 4 days. We're going to let these products cure and harden. We're going to come back and check the bond, and then we're going to sand them softly, vacuum them, and we're going to put finish coats on. We'll take you to the next step when we check back in. Okay, so we finished the oil primer, and what we're doing right now is we want to take our brush. We've got a separate pot over here. We have a separate video on how to clean an oil brush, so I want you to check that out. It's really good stuff. All right? And we're gonna go ahead and just kind of soak that in there, and then we'll go and clean it just like we show you in our video. All right, we'll catch you next time. Okay, we're checking back in. It's been 4 days. We let our primer cure, dry, it's hardened. We've walked you through 2 examples on this cabinet, and I have another cabinet door over here with a 3rd example, so we'll get to that in a second. I want you to come on over here and let's take a look. We used the Crud Cutter deglosser on the entire cabinet. On this side right here, we used a light sand with 220 grit sandpaper. We vacuumed it, and then we primed it with an oil-based stain block primer, cover stain. On this side right here, we did not do any sanding. We used a bonding primer, water-based primer, and it went on nice and smooth, and so both sides are now cured and hard. And on this side, I can take my fingernail, we do the fingernail test, it's bonded. On this side, fingernail test, it's bonded. Now remember, we have a cabinet that was stained and sealed. Over time, it's going to bleed through the tannins in the wood. It's going to bleed through the cabinet finish if we don't do the correct steps to stop that from happening. So Over here, what we have used a lot in the past on our projects is this method right here. We can sand it with 220 and we apply the oil primer and we get the bond and we get the stain block all in one right here, one coat, done. On this side right here, we can use the water base and it can go on a lot easier. We don't have fumes. We get the bond, but we do not get the stain block. Over time, stains are gonna come through this. So what I wanna do right now is I wanna take you over to the third option that we use and that we really like to use in homes. This cabinet door right here, we used a product called Stain Block Primer, water-based by General Finishes. This product goes on really nice. It's really easy to brush on. And what we did with this cabinet is we deglossed the entire cabinet. We did a light 220 grit sand, just like on the oil-based version. And we vacuumed it. And then we applied 2 coats of this product to the cabinet door. And that's what the directions are for this product, is to apply 2 coats to really get that stain block effect. Now the benefit of this is we're going to create a durable finish on our cabinets that's gonna be bonded. We don't have to worry about stains coming through, and we get to work with a water-based product. So the oil can be difficult to work with. If you're doing things yourself and you're not having them professionally sprayed and you're brushing and rolling, we can show you techniques to do that, but you can glide a brush across the surface of a deglossed cabinet with this product and lay it off, and it lays down, and you do this twice, 2 coats, and then after it's cured for several days, we come back with our 400 grit sandpaper and we take it to the next step. We'll catch up with you then. All right, here we are. We're at the finishing stages of our cabinet project. We are using a product by Benjamin Moore called Advance, and this is going to be a satin finish that we're going to apply to the surface here. This product is low VOC. We have a video on that. Go check it out. It's easy to apply, and you're going to like how easy it flows with a brush and a roller system, and it lays down really nice. It's going to cure and harden to a furniture-like finish. And you just want to make sure that you're using a well-ventilated area when you apply the product. You don't want it to be too hot or too cold. And basically what we do is we'll apply the first coat and we wait an entire day before we apply the second coat to really let it dry. And then we give it a sand in between coats, but we'll get to that step. So this is what we're going to do next, and we'll take you there. All right, guys, so what we're going to do now is take our 400 grit piece of sandpaper onto our dried primed cabinet, and I just real lightly just go over the face of it, and it's going to soften up real nice. This primer is very nice primer, so it's going to be really smooth, and I'm just going to work it into all the sections and soften up this area. And that's going to be our starting point, okay? Get the sides. You don't have to push hard. Just glide the sandpaper across the surface. This is an easy primer to sand. Okay. Then we take our tack rag. You can get this anywhere. A tack rag has some stickiness to it. And you can vacuum first. You can wipe. There's not a lot of dust. It's a real fine dust when we sand this. So we like to take the tack rag, and it kind of gets all the rest of the dust and the film off the surface. So we can start our painting. And I have a couple tack rags on hand because I'll keep opening them and getting fresh sections to pick up the dust, okay? Now we're gonna move over to our brushes. I want you to take a look at these handles. One has got a thick handle, one has got a thin handle. We're going to use the Black Bristle 1.5" XL Purdy brush. It's real soft and it's thicker than the thin one. We want to be able to hold the paint on the brush. This product is really nice. It's going to allow us to work a section and then come back and lay it off. So this is the brush we want to use. Over here, I've got a roller set up, And I've got a mohair roller, which is a 1/4 inch. And this is the type of products that we use when we do this. I'll have descriptions and information below. Then what I like to do is we kind of open our can, and I always like to give it a stir and kind of make sure that we have everything mixed up properly before we get going. And then I'm going to walk you through how we take a cabinet and paint it with our brush and roller system. Okay, I'm going to use this quart as my cut pot. Okay, I'm going to kind of dip my brush in there, get it started, lay it off like this. And what I want to do is I'm going to work the middle of the cabinet first. And you're going to watch how I do it in sections. We'll use the roller to do the larger sections, and we'll lay it off nice and even. We're going to use a rag as we go too. So this is kind of how I do it. I want to take and get the brush into the parts that the roller can't fit into. And you can already feel with this product how nice and smooth it goes on. I don't want to put a lot of product out on this part. I want to just kind of cut in and work in the middle here first. And if you're not going to be spraying your cabinets, this system right here is a really great system to follow that will give you a really nice professional finish because this product lays down so nice. And I just go back and forth and really smooth that out on that section. Then I'm going to come over here to the next one, okay? And I'm going to get the paint on there, make sure I get enough, and you can see how nice it's covering over this primer. And I just lay it off nice and smooth, and I come back at the angle, and I just kind of do that again. I can tell that each section is still wet because of how nice this primer is, and also because I don't have the temperature really high in this shop that I'm in right now. I want the product to stay wet for a long time, which it will, but it allows us to get the cabinet coated properly. Okay, we're almost done with the border, I like to call it. All right, and now we're going to do the middle. Now you can do one of two things. You can brush this middle, or you can take the roller setup and roll it out and then back brush it. Okay, so we're going to show you how we do that. I'm not going to load it up heavy and put it all in there and get it all loaded. I only need to start the roller with a little bit of product here. Okay, and then right into the middle first, and then I'll work my way out to the edges. Okay, I want to make sure that I get enough paint on this. And I'm just going to go real even until I have it all coated. Now this product right here, it will lay down. Okay, see that right there? Can you see that line? That's caused by the end of a roller. When we're rolling something, we never want to leave a line like that. We want to go over it until we have eliminated any line. And if you just use the roller, you can let it dry like this and it'll lay down. I like to come back with my brush and it's still wet, and I like to work up the sides and go over it one more time to even it out. Okay? Now, I want to make sure that I don't have a lot of paint up onto this area of the cabinet, so sometimes I'll go like this and I'll smooth out this face. We don't want a big buildup over there. Just put my finger on that rag and go like that, and then come over here and wipe any excess off the face. Okay, now the middle is all done. We rolled it. If you want, if you have a smooth cabinet that is pine or doesn't have a lot of grain like the oak does, you can take the brush and lay this off back and forth. And then you just lay it off, it'll dry and smooth out, and it's gonna be a really great finish when you're done. Now I'm gonna work to the outsides, okay? So I'll come over here And I'll get my brush in this little groove right here. All right, and I'll do this groove, and then I can roll this, but I can just as easily brush it. Okay, and I just want to get this top section laid off like that. Okay, and then there's a little groove right there. I want to make sure I come back and don't have a heavy buildup in there, and that's why this brush is so nice. I just take the tip of this brush and lightly go like that, and then real lightly lay it off. And then I can come out to the outside right here, and I can brush this edge of the cabinet. And we're gonna do one side of all the cabinets at a time, and then we're gonna flip it over once it's dry and do the other side. Then I just kind of lay this off like that, and then I'll come back one more time with the brush, okay? We always wanna go with the direction of the grain. So I like to stop at this line right here and stop at that line. But then I take my rag, and we're gonna have a little drip over under here. So I'm just gonna wipe that bottom edge like that and catch that paint. I'm gonna catch that. And then when we go to do the other side of the cabinet, it'll be nice and it won't be filled with paint that we have to scrape off, okay? So we're gonna go to the next section over here. And we're going to do this the same way. Get that little edge all the way down. And then I'm just going to go ahead with this brush, and I'm going to take it all the way down and work back to the middle, making sure I get that product on there. I'm trying to keep my brush on the top. I'm not trying to go back into this area right here. So what I've done is now I've laid this all off. I'm gonna go real smooth, make sure I got that all coated, and lay it off that way. I'm gonna take my bristle brush again and catch any paint that might be in that little groove. Come back, and I like to lay this off many times. And then I'll lay this off, okay? And then I'll come over and I'll lean over, or I'll walk around the table, and I'll get this edge just like I did the other side. What's great about this product is it stays wet if you're in the right temperature environment. Okay, once I get all the paint on there, then you come back and you lay it off nice and smooth. That bottom part, the groove, and then the top again. Okay, now we're going to work over this section, just going around in a circle. Okay. Okay, we just want to get this covered like that. Okay. Catch this little lip right there. Go back that way, right that way. And then I'll do the edge. We're just about done with the first coat on the cabinet. And I like to lay it off. It's important. Okay, last part here. Remember, I kind of just stay off to the side and then work back towards the middle, because I don't want a lot of paint to go over that edge onto the spot that I already painted a moment ago. All right, we'll lay this off. It's nice to have this little court to work out of. Okay, lay that off, go back over there. We really just want to go over our sections and lay them off to make sure that we have a nice looking brush line, and we want to make sure we have enough product on there. Okay. All right. There is an example from start to finish of our first coat of Advance on a finished cabinet. This is the method we're going to take when we do our kitchen cabinets. We walked you through all of the examples to use. You can really determine what's best for you in terms of what I showed you with the different primers. If you want to do it the right way, it takes work. You got to use sandpaper to scuff it if you want the bond. And you want to start with the deglosser. That's the most important starting point. You want to get to a quality primer next. And then you want to use a fantastic finish like the Advance paint for your cabinets. We're going to go ahead when this dries and put a second coat on it tomorrow, and then we'll check back in for the final product. Okay, when we're all done, we need to wrap up our setup so it's ready to go the next time we're in there. And this is what we do. We take sandwich baggies, just the regular generic sandwich baggies, and we get our brush loaded with the paint. And then I'll show you, I just take it like this. I kind of have a lot on there, okay? And then I want to just put it right in that bag. And then I'm going to fold it over like this. And I'm going to do the same thing with my roller. When we come back to this setup tomorrow, it's going to be nice, just like we left it. So I get a bunch on the roller. And I'll just wrap it up, making sure to cover the tip, just like that. And then I'll take a plastic baggie or some plastic, and I'll cover this, and I'll wrap it all the way under, and it'll stay nice and wet. And there you have it. A nice shine, smooth, and the paint all laid down real nice. And this is how you do it. All right. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us today. This is the finished product. We took you from the very beginning all the way till now with all of these wonderful products and techniques to try to make it simple for you at home to do this and transform the look of your cabinets. And I want you to come up and see how nice this product is. You can kind of see the sheen and see if I move it. You see it's a nice satin finish. The cabinet's very smooth. And it really dried nice. And this is what we have. So thanks again, and we'll catch you on the next one.